As a celebrity portrait photographer, you know that you're going to be judged by the caliber of your subjects and when you get to shoot them. Keir Starmer, June 2024. In your dotage, when you look back over your long career, as maybe I'm starting to do, you want to feel that you've shot the players, the movers and shakers in any era. And although people are quite cynical about politicians, PMs, prime ministers, fall into that category. This is why a broad smile broke out over my face when I sort of clicked on the email from The Guardian asking me if I was available and up for photographing Keir Starmer. I knew he would be Prime Minister. I knew it was a great opportunity. The narrative of a life undulates up and down, and getting someone close to the pinnacle, the zenith of their career has its challenges. You want to do it, it'll be peak Starmer, a portrait that represents them at the height of their powers. But the flip side is time and scarcity thereof. The Guardian's assertion, confidently stated that I'll get 15 minutes, is instantly rebuffed by George Mason, the PR running the campaign. He says you'll get 5 if you're lucky. It's 2 weeks after Sunak stood in the rain and decided to call the general election. As we arrive at Labour HQ, the tension is palpable. There are burly security guards, long black cars, and people talking on phones. Fred and I, Fred's assisting me, we're sent away twice and told to go and wait in the local Pret. Everyone is terrified of making a gaffe, of something unexpected happening, a spanner coming out of nowhere and landing in the works. We finish our coffee and go back to reception. I want to see where I can shoot. I want to get a sense of the architecture of the building, the light. There's too many variables, too many unknowns. I need to find a space away from all the hullabaloo. Labour have taken over the second floor of this otherwise completely unoccupied building. So there's potential. As I'm going in and talking to the reception, signing in, they're not very friendly. I look down and there's a basement that's completely empty and a first floor that's completely empty. I mean, ready-made studios. So I try and cozy up to the receptionist and ask him if maybe we could do a quick shoot in there. But I get a flat no. I'm getting nowhere. So, as is often the case, if you don't like the answer you're getting from one person, ask another person. So I asked George, the PR, Labour's PR, if we can shoot in the basement. And he says, I don't see why not. So we're down in the basement and I'm setting up, and then suddenly the receptionist appears with security. He's really angry, and I think he feels particularly peeved at the fact that I went behind his back, and I just apologized profusely. Of course he's right, you know, I was a little bit naughty, but I tell him that I'll be really, really quick. I'm almost begging, it's quite undignified. And then I tell him, you know, that this was potentially a historical moment and he can be part of it. He can sort of help this happen. And thank God he acquiesces. After we've set up and we've tried out the lighting, we take the lift to the second floor where the surprisingly young Labour Party staff are ensconced. When Keir Starmer enters the room, there's a kinetic energy in the air. He gives a little speech to bolster morale, and it's genuinely exciting. I can feel my pulse quicken, but I then calm down because they're doing the interview first, so we're back down in the basement. We keep hearing noises and jumping up to welcome our subject, but it's not him, it's just probably the air conditioning or something. It's quite nerve-wracking. Eventually, he's here. He's arrived, and I risk losing a few precious seconds by giving him a copy of my book, Survivor. It's portraits of survivors of the Holocaust, and so I know his wife is Jewish, so they might find it interesting. He really couldn't have been nicer. And although looking at the metadata of my images, my files, you can see the precise time the first shutter was released and the last shutter was released, I got 5 minutes, 27 seconds. I did get a fair degree of variation. Everything was shot on my Fuji GFX and lit with available light mostly, apart from an image that I used a LED lighting panel, and I included that in the frame. It's nice to sort of show in the photograph how things are lit. And then I finished off with a couple of pictures, a couple of flash pictures with a quantum flash, with a small handheld battery-powered flash. Those pictures were quite ordinary. And when I got home, I was slightly panicking that I hadn't got enough stuff. And I was just messing around on Photoshop, and I combined 2 frames. And to my surprise, that was the picture they ended up using on the Guardian cover of the magazine. I was slightly ambivalent about them using that picture because I didn't want to kind of imply that Keir was two-faced or confused. But the picture had a sort of interesting, ambiguous quality, very unlike anything I've ever done before. But often something happens when you're playful and just having fun, messing around. As he was leaving, he asked me to sign the book that I'd given him. He apologized for the brevity of the shoot, and then he was gone. As we were packing up, a WhatsApp message arrived from George. He'd taken a photograph of me and Keir when we were looking at the book, which was sweet. On the whole, I was happy with the portraits we made, just as I've been happy with the portraits I made of Thatcher, Blair, Brown, Cameron, Johnson, and I don't really care that I didn't get to photograph May, Sunak, or Truss. I mean, they're kind of pound shot PMs, disposable. But I am pleased to add Keir Starmer to my roll call of Prime Ministers. Let's hope he doesn't disappoint.